He is a drama therapist. He is a pervert. He is out there creating new adventures every day for you people. He's doing it for you. And that means, first storyteller, break the building in half, y'all. I want stomping, I want clapping, I want everything. Our first storyteller of the night is Jeffrey Hayes.
Hi. I just got a text from my dad, and he said, "I'm so proud of you." He texts me for every show that I do, and he knows that I talk about, like, sex and stuff, and he's just so adorable about it. And I had to share that with all of you. So let's talk about glory holes. So I was on an app, Scruff. I feel like Scruff should give me some money because, like, I talk about them in like 90% of my stories. But Scruff is an app much like Grindr, where it has like a grid of all the guys near you and how far away they are. And there was this one guy on the app, and it was just like a blank sheet was the profile picture. I was like, okay, well, good for you. And I didn't pay any mind to it, but he sent me a message, and he was like, hey, I have a glory hole in my house. I would like for you to come visit. And I was like, oh, well, thank you very much for the invitation. Is there like should I RSVP? Like, what's the time? Because I didn't know the glory hole etiquette. So fast forward to me Googling glory hole etiquette. I was raised right, okay? So I'm sitting and I'm Googling glory hole etiquette, and I recommend you do it, because it's gonna enlighten you a little bit to the world. Because there were some things where I was like, oh, this is good to know, like I don't have to bring baked goods. This is something I'm not used to when visiting someone's home. But then there were some things where I was like, what? Because, so, let's say you have a penis, right? And you put it through a glory hole, as you are often wont to do. And the person receiving the penis doesn't want to receive that penis, right? Okay, more power to you, I understand. We all have our wants and needs. So if they do not want that penis, they can just tap lightly on it twice to say, no, thank you. And I thought, that is delightful. What a wonderful society we live in. But then, I read a little further, and they said, if the bottom is particularly upset, it is not uncommon for the bottom to slap the dick. So this is quickly turned around as a scenario for me into like a nightmare scenario where there are no brownies and there is dick slapping, and this is not going well for me. So I'm like filled with fear, but I'm also filled with this feeling of like, I've never had anonymous sex before. Like, what is this like? I don't know what he looks like, and I'll never know, and this is so exciting, and I want to try it. And my partner at the time had been to many a glory hole, and he was old hat at it, and he was like, I remember my first time. I don't know why I'm making him sound like an old smoker. He was like this tiny, adorable Twinkie type, and like I'm making him sound like, but that's what it felt like to me. Like he was the one who had been there before and seen it all, and I was like the new, fresh-faced one who was very confused. And you know, I wanted to do it to prove to myself that I could do it, and if I'm being honest, to prove to him that I could do it. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I can go and have anonymous, meaningless sex, and it's gonna be good, and I can do this, America. And so. So I go to his address, it's in the Castro, because of course it is. And I'm texting and I'm like, do I knock? Like, what do I do? And he's like, just come in, I'm ready for you. I'm like, okay. So I opened the door, and it took me a lot to open that door, because I was like, I really feel like I should knock. Like, I know you told me that I didn't have to, but I feel like I'm supposed to. But I was like, okay, game face Jeffrey, you can do this. You can have anonymous sex, and you can do it well. Okay, so I go in, and I close the door behind me, and I'm immediately confronted with a curtain. And it's a curtain with a hole in it. And I'm like, okay, I know what this is for. I can do this. So I just whip out my penis, and I put it through the hole, and it does not get slapped. We're doing really well. Things are going really well. And in fact, a really wonderful sensation happens. There is now what I presume to be a mouth on my penis. I felt mouths on my penis. This is what this feels like. So far so good. But like, the thing is, I'm fighting this thing internally, because I'm like, I want to have anonymous sex, but I'm also like, but I really want to touch this person who's giving me this amazing feeling. Like, I want to reciprocate in some way. And like, all this energy is like pulsing in my fingertips, and I'm like clawing onto the wall, like trying so hard to express something to him. But I'm just like moaning, and I'm like, I guess that's good enough. Like, but I am in such ecstasy, and I don't know if he understands. But I think he understands, because the next thing I know, his mouth comes off of my penis, and then I feel the mouth back on, but I also feel something else. It is a condom. He is putting a condom on with his mouth. That's really cool. Like, oh my gosh. I was like, I didn't know this could happen. They didn't cover this in the glory hole etiquette. Like, oh my god. This is like extra credit. So it's going really well. And then I feel him slide back onto me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening. So I start thrusting, and I do the thing, and I'm doing the fucking, and I'm doing well, and it's going really nicely. Thank you. Thank you. But here's the thing, is like, I can't contain myself, right? Like, I've gone just so ecstatic with joy at this occasion, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do this or not, but I reach around the corner of the curtain, and I grab him by the hip, and I'm not sure if this is okay or not, but then suddenly he grabs from around the curtain, and he grabs my hip, and he's like thrusting me harder, and I'm like, yay, this is okay, this is great, and then the curtain comes down. Because the curtain was not ready for that. And I guess that's fair, because we were not ready for what the curtain did. And like the curtain and the curtain rod thing, I don't know what it's called, I'm not a curtain smith, but it comes down and it hits us both, and we fall down, and we're like draped in this curtain. And I see him, and he has this look of like horror on his face. And I look at him, and I'm just, all I can say is, you're beautiful. Because he is. And we fucked so hard, you guys. Like, oh. The coolest part. Oh, the coolest part is when the curtain came down, somehow, miraculously, I did not slip out of him. He had like this Vulcan death grip thing on my dick. And it was great, because I could stay inside, and then we just kept going, and it was wonderful. And I feel like I'm not allowed to say it was romantic. But like, it was so romantic. So the bad news is, it turns out I'm not very good at having anonymous sex. Because even when I'm trying really hard, I end up establishing a connection. This is just a problem I have, and I'm at peace with it. The good news is, this supposed one-night stand actually ended up being a really beautiful relationship. And it did come to an end, but I have to say, I am so glad it happened. And I am so glad I did not get my dick slapped.
Jeffrey Hayes, y'all.